Yamunatiravanacharya Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Om Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Jaya Kodanitai Maya Poshashi Kodanitai Jaya Maya Poshashi Jaya Shri Tausina Jaya Shri Tausina Jaya Giridharila Jaya Nisingare Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Iskangaravinda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Purnabhavandam ki jai, all of you ki jai. Oh yeah, I thought we were reading the, before class, okay. So reading from Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion. Oh, I see. Okay, so we're on the preface. Lord Chaitanya's principle is universal. So the principle he's referring to is just previously he's been saying that we should chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anyone who knows the science of Krishna, does anyone know the science of Krishna? and is engaged in the service of the Lord is accepted as being in a higher position. And a person born in the family of a Brahmin, that is the original principle accepted by all the Veda literatures, especially by Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The principle of Lord Chaitanya's movement in educating and elevating everyone to the exalted post of a Goswami is taught in the nectar of devotion. And interestingly enough, just as an aside, Dhanadhar Swami was telling us about this very posh devotee that was coming from the Sri Sampradaya. And if you've ever seen Sri Sampradaya, Delhi Poker, they've not had, they've had a whole pattern process, and they've never fallen down for like hundreds and hundreds of years. It's like impeccable. Their sadhya. Sadhya is their qualities that they display. And he was, anyway, they'd been encouraging him. He was coming along, and on Sunday he was there for the feast, and the devotees were having a gulab eating competition. And unfortunately, one of the devotees was over enthusiastic, and he did win the gulab eating competition, but the gulabs came up very quickly afterward, and they went on in front of Srila Prabhupada's Murti form in the temple. So this devotee just very quietly stood up and just quietly exited. So then the Swami was looking, and he was thinking, okay, well, that's the last time I'm going to see him. And about 15 minutes later, he came in very quietly. He just sat right back down to his plate of prasadam and carried on eating, you know. So after he'd finished, Dhanadhar Swami went over and he said, everything okay, Prabhu? And he said, yeah. He said, I saw you leave and come back. And he said, yeah. I said, I left. And then when I was leaving, a thought occurred to me. And so I came back. I said, what was the thought? Would you like to know what the thought was? Would you like to know what the thought was? Yeah. The thought was, in this Krishna consciousness, there is no material disqualification. And like it's saying here, this principle, this universal principle is. So it's a big if. What is the big if? If we pay attention in class and we're not distracted, well, that's one of them. But what's the big if that Prabhupada's referring to that I just read? It's probably easier if you just concentrate on the one thing at a time. What's the big if? Srila Prabhupada's just been saying, he says, the universal principle, anyone who knows the science of Krishna and engaged in the service is in a higher position than a person born in the family of a Brahmin. So the big if is, are you engaged in the service of the Lord? And do you know the science of Krishna? If you do, then even if you have a gulab competition and it goes wrong, you're still considered higher than the Pukka Brahmin. That's like the highest principle. But the thing is, do we know the science of Krishna? If we're not here for class, or in class we're distracted all the time, how much do we actually hear and how much do we actually know about the science of Krishna? And if we don't, then we can't assume this elevated position of being higher than the Brahmin. But that's a big if. And Krishna says if. Anyone know where Krishna says if in the Bhagavad Gita? Right at the very end in the 18th chapter, he says if. Do you know what the verse is where he says it? He says, if you become conscious of me. He says the whole Bhagavad Gita, and at the end he goes, if. So it's not that, oh, I read the Bhagavad Gita, I'm okay, Harry Ball, everything's fine, I turn up for the morning program, I wear a dhoti, I'm fine. Krishna says, if you become conscious of me, you pass over all the obstacles. If you don't, Vinangshasi and Sroshasi. If you don't hear, Vinangshasi. You know what Vinangshasi means? Lost. Vinangshasi, you'll be lost. And you know where you'll be lost? Refer to it in the Bhagavatam. I was just reading it today. It's a very, very scary. If anyone's easily scared, then it's best to leave now. Everyone okay? You want to hear this? This is very scary. If you become conscious of Krishna, you won't fall into the whirlpool of birth and death. Vinangshasi. You'll be lost in the whirlpool of birth and death. And if you lose the human form of life, it takes the same time to get it back as it does to empty a pond with a hare. So I'll give you a hare, take you over the pond, and I'll leave you. I'll come back in a few years and we'll see if you've emptied the pond. But it'll probably take a long time. Lord Chaitanya met the two brothers. Sorry, the principle of Lord Chaitanya's movement is educating and elevating everyone to the exalted position of Goswami. Lord Chaitanya met the two brothers, Dabi Akash and Sakara Malik, in a village known as Ramakeli in the district of Malda. And after that meeting, the brothers decided to retire from government service and join Lord Chaitanya. Dabi Akash, who was later to become Rupa Goswami, retired from his post and collected all the money he had accumulated during his service. It is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that his accumulated savings in gold coins equaled millions of dollars and filled a large boat. He divided the money into a very exemplary manner, which should be followed by the devotees in particular and by humanity in general. 50% of his accumulated wealth was distributed to the Krishna consciousness persons, namely the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. 25% was distributed to relatives, and 25% was kept against emergency expenditures and personal difficulties. Later on, when the decided like almost to retire, the number was much and put into jail. So, to become Krishna and Krishna army, personally, who had been deposited in the who's changed in the both of those key. Just recently I was in a man that he was selling. He normally does computers and had all these drones on the shop. He's like the cheap. I said, how come? He said, well, my friend is all the one last me. He was funny about that. He was very old and he was really already died. So we decided to do was he went down to the account and he was buying anything guy. Why there's couldn't get a house with boxes and boxes had opened and my band just before I died, but back to that apple probably didn't accumulate it. He was so greedy, I think, in this cause I can get off of it for myself. I like to just wasted it all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, entitled we left off in the Purana, the fourth notion to eat in the house of rich man. To the deity's room in the dark, sitting to worship without reverence of the temple, without breaking sound. They have a bead bag and there's a bead bag at all. They go down on the one hand, so you're going to make a fence. Better to get all your bead. One way. The cloud that has been seen by a dog to be influenced by offering while offering to the deity. To go to the toilet during the time of worshipping the deity, to offer incense without offering flowers, to worship the deity forbidden flowers, worship flowers, unscented flowers, a lamp, or a woman during the menstrual period, or bluish clothing, the clothing, clothing. Other offences are to worship the deity after the body, to show anger before the deity, and to worship the deity just turning from the to work before the deity, the glory. so many days, so many. What is it? Yes, I think huge area, the whole area is related. Each shop was suggested would not should city or in any way everything somehow so also offences. Places the offences today to be distract the ones are Bhagavatam and principles to interpret to introduce offering shastras. Do you know what that means? Oh, no. Introduce different shastras. To chew pan and put before the deity, the first one, worship a leaf of oil plant, to worship the deity and to sing the worship the deity out the teeth, to the deity the left hand in the day, worship the deity the stem used flower, to worshiping the deity, advertise one's glory, worshiping the deity, to apply tea to one's forehead carefully. To enter the temple without having one's feet, to offer the cook an initiate lesson, which is second, to wish the deity and offer boga, also prefer to finish this second. If you make the first is different. Before you have in one go, and then when have position. When it means you've just started, or you've been in the starting line, getting ready, and finally ready. So, oh, that's the position that you're starting. And then you're running along. If you're qualified, you get second actual initiation. So I should when you come to deities, P worship that was aspiring. Q to refuse was offered day. If one commits at least one chapter Bhagavatam, or I'm going to make some of that now and again, just a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chant, become the whole translation and translations. It takes 5 minutes to get after about that is a chapter. This is on a so if you circumambulate toss you're to the killing of we and of all the times you take and Rita, so you're put on time death, you're benefit we're going through a whole very process, relieving of it as a made eventually from the night before to kill process of verification. And you make mistakes, the solution is to apply even more one who reads the names of can be released from all offenses. Said one who recites all those at seed is also from all of us. Maharaj, we here I can remember his name. He's really Devi devotee. He's a view chant in the end of a but you influence the three gods of nature. The Shamshir also the Brahmanda Purana, it is said that one worships Lord Vishnu, who hands the conch out can leave from the abundances. In the Araha Purana, that a who was committed may one day known as Karava, the in the gates. Yeah, I didn't understand. So there's some homework for you, Kartikeya. So when you're giving class next, we'll be very interested to hear what you've got to say. So if you're offering arti, say go arti in the evening and there's nobody there, are you allowed to sing at the same time? I think we use the mic more for anyone that's listening online, or is it okay? Yeah. So for clarification, what we have then, we have Pujari, he's offering arti, the temple room is empty, and he's feeling that he would like to accompany the puja with some singing, because that's only what you do if you're worshipping the Lord, then you'll accompany it with some glorification. So therefore he's singing at the same time as ringing the bell. I've heard that if you sing too loudly or too enthusiastically, then particles of salava can come out of the mouth. And one thing devotees may be not aware of also is that when you're offering, if you're holding the incense over the tray of things you're about to offer, a particle of the incense dust goes onto the articles on the tray, then it's no longer offerable. It's contaminated. So the best thing is when you're doing an offering, put the tray over here and do the offering, everything in, and then any water or petals or anything that falls down goes onto the ground, doesn't go into the tray. And if you're going to sing, we can look into this in more detail, but I would say sing soft, the safe side, so you're not spraying the deities with anything, just softly, in a very meditative mood. Any other questions or comments? It may seem a little bit off-putting, and it's interesting that we've just read in the Nectar of Devotion there that are saying that all these qualifications of being a higher Brahman, if you understand the science of Krishna and you are engaged in serving, then you transcend. So a lot of those rules and regulations are referring more to people in the intermediate stages that we have to be very, very, very careful. But when you come to the stage where you're actually wanting to do this out of affection for the Lord, then you go into another level. But that means understanding the science and being engaged in the service. And you may not be engaged, you may be thinking, you may be peeling potatoes and thinking, I'm engaged in service. I wish I could be doing something else. This is so boring, I'm meant for better things than this. Don't they know how talented I am? I should be giving class at the manor or leading a kirtan in Mayapur, and I'm here peeling spuds in the corner of a barn. Nobody knows me. I shouldn't. Is that engaged in service? Are you engaged in service? It's the intention which is more important than the action, And if someone's paid to do something, then they don't get any benefit for doing this because they're not doing it for Krishna, they're doing it for themselves. Like Prabhupada said one time, he says, what are they chanting? They had a professional group of bhajan kirtan here singing in my Prabhupada said, what are they? And the voice says, they're chanting Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada said, no, they're not chanting Hare. He said, no, it's Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. He said, no, they're chanting money, money, money. Because they're not engaged in service, they're not engaged in chanting the holy name, they're just engaged in making money. It just happens to be that they're using the Maha Mantra to make the money with. So they're not actually chanting, although it sounds like it. And the person who's peeling the potato is not engaged in service, although he is peeling a potato, because he's not doing it because he wants to please Krishna. He's doing it because he wants to please himself, and this isn't pleasing him. So because it's not pleasing him, he doesn't want to do it. So really, although it's being called devotional service, all it is really is, can I do something to please myself, please? I want to do something that makes me feel good, that makes me feel important, and that doesn't, so I don't want to do that. Well, I'm sorry, but it's not devotional service, then it's all about you. It's ahankara, it's the false ego. False ego isn't just your body, name, fame, adoration, distinction, and gain. It's also about your profile. I, me, and mine. There's I the body, there's mine, what I possess, and there's me. Me is my profile. Now, this isn't peeling potatoes. Sorry, it just isn't me. Sorry, it just isn't me. I'm not a potato peeler. I'm meant for better things. So that's the false ego, if in a subtle form, or not so subtle form. Interesting, yeah?
Thank you, Prabhu, for bringing out these details. Is it same like engaging service? Is it same like someone distributing books, but keeping some Lakshmi for the books and also giving some Lakshmi to the temple for the books?
Well, that's a different subject. I mean, Rupa Goswami is saying half should go to Krishna consciousness. So if you're keeping it all for yourself, that's not good. But it's a better way of, if by distributing books you're able to maintain your family in a very simple way, that's better than stacking shelves in Tesco's, because those books will go out, people will read them, and maybe some people will become devotees, even pure devotees, and go back to God this lifetime, which is better for everyone. It's better for you, it's better for the person that gets the book, better for the planet, it's better for everybody that you do that. And then you can say, well, to give 25% isn't as good as giving half, but it's better than not giving anything. 75% is even better again. And if you can give it all, which is what some of us have done, then that's even better to do that, you know. But you have to look at what the options are and say, well, this is good, but it could be better. Like Krishna says in the 12th chapter, he says, well, if you can't do this, then maybe you can do this. And if you can't do this, then maybe you can do that. And then it can be progressive. But the thing about Saja is, what is your perfection? What is your goal? Is your goal just to be comfortable, or is your goal to give everything up in service of Krishna? And then your sadhana is how you're going to achieve your saja, your perfection. So it has to be really clear what it is. You know, what do you really want? Are you just wanting a nice house, a nice situation, and Krishna consciousness is just a hobby that you do on the side? Or do you see this as the focus, as the ultimate? That this is the essence of my existence, is to achieve this full-blown darshan of Krishna and rejoin him in my swarup, in my original form in the spiritual world for eternity. Is that the goal? Is that really what I want? And along the way, Krishna is saying, are you sure you really want? Because Prabhupada's telling us that this is what we should want. And that's one of the offenses. It's the first offense of the next offense, to be against the scriptural injunctions of the Veda literature, or disrespect within one heart the Srimad Bhagavatam, while externally falsely accepting its principles. So all the time Krishna's like, because initially we don't really know what it is until we start taking it up, and then we start realizing, oh, this is what devotional service means. It means you give everything to Krishna and you go back to him and leave everything else behind. I mean, we may read it and think, well, that sounds good, but then when it actually comes to doing it, then we think, oh, I didn't think it was going to be like this. I thought it was going to be, you know, more me getting pleasure and bliss and bouncing around and being Haribol. Haribol doesn't seem to be like that at all, you know. Are we doing everything for ourselves, or are we doing it for Krishna? Or if we're not doing it for Krishna, do we want to learn to do it for Krishna? And if we take one fraction of a millimeter closer to that, then everything's progressive. But then we can also slide back. We can start off thinking this is a good idea, and then later on think, actually, maybe it's not such a good idea after all. And then we can start sliding back. Any questions or comments? Yes, Hare Krishna. What's your name?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Two things I wanted to find out. One is, being in the Grahastha ashram, how do you try to be close to Krishna and at the same time avoid this conflict of being stuck in the Grahastha ashram and at the same time, you want to be close to Krishna as well? That's my first question. And my second one is, the thing that you were reading about the merchant of keeping half of his wealth to his child or somebody else. Is it right or is it wrong to work hard for your child and keep a little bit of the wealth for a simple living? Or you just think about it that Krishna will take care of the next generation? These are my only two questions.
So first question was how to be in the Grihastha ashram
And still be.
and to make progress.
And to make progress in the
In
path
the
of
Grihastha
spirituality.
ashram. Well, funnily enough, this may come as a blow to some of the brahmacharis. I was told it the other day, actually, that the Grihastha ashram is higher than the brahmachari ashram because there's more responsibility. So when you're in the Grihastha ashram, you're forced to put other people before yourself and become selfless, and you're forced to develop a loving relationship, a service mood towards your husband, and he towards you also. So you cultivate many good qualities by being in the Grihastha ashram. If you can see that the Grihastha ashram is a training for you to become selfless and compassionate and empathic, because these qualities will be really useful in how you serve Krishna, then it's all very progressive. You can see things. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of the gurus on our line of Parampara, he said that because he sees his family as all property of Krishna, the house is Krishna's property, the family are Krishna's servants, then he serves them. Otherwise, he said he would leave immediately and go and live in the forest. So we can see the family in that way, in that Krishna conscious way, and then serve them, to bring them also, give them prasadam, have them listening to Bhagavatam, engage them in kirtan, encourage them to come to the temple. Then they're making spiritual progress, and you're making progress by helping them to do it. And the second question, Rupa Goswami is saying, whatever you earn, the ideal is half goes to Krishna consciousness or some spiritual, temple. Half gets kept as an emergency fund for whatever may go wrong in the world, and the other half, quarter of your wealth, goes towards the family members, looking after the family members. So that's the recommended standard. Shishiko Nitai Maya Shashiki Jai. Any other questions or comments? I'll read on a little bit more, and please feel free at any point to ask a question. In the process of worshipping the deity, it is sometimes enjoined that one worship the deity within the mind. In the Padma Purana Uttarakanda, it is said all persons can generally worship within the mind. The Gautama Tantra states, for a sannyasi who has no home, worship of the deity within his mind is recommended. In the Narad Pancharatra, that's called Manasa Puja. If you're away sometimes from the deity, you have deities and you can't take the deities with you, then you get up in the morning, you shower, put on clean clothes, and then do Manasa Puja. You offer all the articles in your mind. In the Narad Pancharatra, it is stated that by Lord Narayan, that worship of the deity within the mind is called Manasa Puja. One can become free from the 4 miseries by this method. 4 miseries. What are the 4 miseries? Birth, death, old age, and disease. Sometimes worship from the mind can be independently executed. According to the instructions of Avira Muni, one of the Nava Yogendras, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, one may worship the deity by chanting all the mantras. 8 kinds of deities are mentioned in the chapters, and the mental deity is one of them. In this regard, the following description is given in the Brahma Vivata Purana. So maybe it's becoming apparent to everybody as we're reading this that Krishna consciousness is a science. We've just had in the Nectar of Devotion, if you know the science. So that's a big F, actually, because there's a lot of stuff to know if you know the science of Krishna consciousness. Knowing all the offenses, all the etiquette. There's so much there. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, a lot of it is just illustrating etiquette, how Vaishnavas interact, how they show respect to each other, how they take initiation, how they get freed of offenses. All etiquette. That's the essential part. And if we brush all that aside and think, oh, well, that was then, and we have to peel the potatoes and don't worry about anything else. The etiquette is the most important part of the whole thing. How you're doing the potatoes, how you're interacting with the devotees, how you're chanting, how you're looking toward your family members. This attitude, this consciousness behind everything you're doing. And it's scientific. It's not, oh, I can't be bothered doing that today. I was doing it yesterday and I didn't feel very blissful anyway, so I'm not going to be bothered doing it today. Well, then you don't know the science. You don't know the science. You're just going according to your own whims. And if it makes you feel good or it makes you feel important, you'll do it on that day. But there's no guarantee you'll do it on the next day. And that's Kanishta. Nishta is fixed, and Ka means without being fixed. Ooh, he's up today, he's into it. Oh, he's down today, he's not into it at all. Oh, he's into it today. Oh, he's off into it today. Oh, no, he's decided he's not into it at all. Oh, no, he's into it. That's Kanishta. Up and down. And Kanishta can be as long as you want it to be. But as soon as you become fixed, first become fixed physically in the right place at the right time, and then verbally saying the right thing at the right time, and then mentally in the right place, saying the right thing and thinking the right thing at the right time, then you're full-on nishta fixed. And then when you're nishta, then you start to, the consciousness really starts to elevate, because you're not fighting with the material energy all the time. You're moving on from it now. And you can't get around it. You can't, there's no quick way of doing it, I was just reading this morning, we shouldn't imitate advanced devotees, who are experiencing separation. We shouldn't imitate that. But sometimes we imitate ourselves, because one day we're really sincere and we do something really, really nicely. And the next day we don't feel so sincere and we're trying to imitate what we did the day before and hoping to get the same result. You ever found that? One day you're chanting and it's really good and you're thinking, wow, I have to do it like that again tomorrow. So the next day you're there, you're doing it the same way you did the day before, but now you're just imitating what you did the day before, because the day before you're doing it sincerely, and today you're just imitating it and hoping you'll get the result in an easier way. Yes, and then Vigraha Prabhu.
On services, so is peeling potato at the same level, say, doing deity worship, leading kirtan, giving class?
It's higher. It can be higher if you're doing the deity worship just because you're being paid. There's one story in Prabhupada Lilamrita, and Prabhupada, the devotees went to see this deity, and the devotees were really surprised. The Pujari said, he goes, I worship that one. He says, I like that one because it reminds me of Bilko. He was talking about, the devotees went back and he said to Prabhupada, he was talking about the deity like this. And Bilko is one of these comedians, American comedians, the service for a while, So he could be thinking, I'm doing better than the person who's peeling the potato. But the person peeling the potato may be doing it purely out of love and devotion. He just really wants to please Krishna. And the devotees want chips today. So he's feeling, he's crying, he's feeling so grateful to get a chance to peel the potatoes to make the chips for the devotees that he's crying because he's feeling so much gratitude. He's better than the Pujari who's doing it and thinking, oh, I wish I was somewhere else doing something else. I can't be bothered with this anymore. It's so bored. And here we go again. The consciousness is the essential factor of the activity itself. Because generally, if you're doing deity worship, it will focus you on the image of the Lord, and it will purify you, and it will be more purifying than peeling a potato if you're doing it in the right consciousness. And the peeling potatoes and all the menial service we're doing are precursors to coming to the point where we become qualified to accept second initiation, so that we can go in to do this very advanced. And it's so advanced, Pujari, Srila Prabhupada once said, normally first you have to go to the planet where Krishna is performing his pastimes, and then when you're trained up by Prema Bhakti, then you can go back to Krishna Loka. But if you're a Pujari, you don't have to go to a planet to get trained up, because you already know how to serve Krishna. So you just go directly back. So if you're a Pujari, you save yourself one lifetime. If you're doing it properly. There's a lot of ifs in Krishna consciousness, actually. A lot of ifs. If you become conscious, if you understand the signs, if you are engaged, if you are. Now, the fact that it's if means that there's a good chance you're not. One should chant the holy name in a humble state of mind. If you chant the holy name in a humble state of mind. So there's a good chance that if you're being told you should do it, there's a good chance you're not. Definitely not by default. By default, you wouldn't chant the holy name in a humble state of mind. Otherwise, why would you have to be told? You would just be chanting in a humble state of mind, right? And how do you chant in a humble state of mind? Say you're chanting, you can't really get into it, and you think, oh, this is so boring. It's going to be the same again, no taste. I'm getting on. And someone goes, Roach, you chant in a humble state of mind. How do you do that? Is there a button somewhere with H on? Oh, humble state of mind. Oh, Hare Krishna. How do you chant in a humble state of mind? Yeah. Yeah. When you're in a humble state of mind, when you are in a humble state of mind, on the rare occasions personally, when I'm in a humble state of mind, it can be quite discouraging, because in a humble state of mind, you don't feel very important. And then you don't even bother chanting. I'm so useless. I'm such a worthless person. What's the point of me chanting? My chanting is rubbish anyway. Why should I even bother chanting? Well, that's actually what a humble state of mind looks like. What do you think a humble state of mind would feel like? You know, do you think you'd be feeling like, wow, I'm so humble. I'm going to chant these amazing rounds now. I'm probably the most humble devotee in this temple, you know. I'm so humble. God, I can't believe how humble I am, you know. Would that be how you would be chanting a humble state of mind? So the question is, how do you chant in a humble state of mind?
By feeling grateful.
Yeah.
Grateful of the holy name.
Yes, that is like such a powerful. If you have that sentiment of gratitude, that is like such a powerful platform. Everything we're doing should be on this platform of gratitude. I was just thinking this when I was chanting. I was thinking when I first became a devotee, I was really, really grateful that the devotees had accepted me as a devotee, and you weren't allowed to wear a dhoti or shave up at first. You were not allowed to wear a dhoti. So the first thing was, after so many months, I was wearing bhakti trousers, which looked terrible. But anyway, that was the program. And then one day, I think after about 2 months, they said, Prabhu, you can start wearing the dhoti. And I was like, wow, I can wear a dhoti. And then a month after that, I was allowed to get shaved up. And I was so grateful that I had actually stopped being a devotee now, you know. They showed me how to put tilak on, and I was learning how to sing the Mangalati prayers. And I was thinking, I hope I never lose this feeling of gratitude, because I was looking at some of the devotees that had been doing service for 5-10 years, and they didn't look as grateful. And I was thinking, oh, that must be such a terrible thing to take everything for granted after a while and lose that gratefulness, and just think, yeah, you know, I'm a devotee. I've been wearing a dhoti for years, you know. I've got a massive seeker. What's the big deal, you know? So it's one thing to be grateful, and then the challenge is, can you maintain this mood of gratefulness throughout your entire life? If you can, then you go home, son. This is your last lifetime in the material world. Congratulations. Well, that's the challenge. Can you? If you can. If. Then yeah, you'll be very humble. You'll be whatever you were asked to do, you're like, you want me to peel the potatoes? Is that okay? Can I touch them? And is it, yeah, it's not going. I'm going to contaminate them. Oh, thank you so much. If you're going to boil the potatoes and you're peeling them like that, then you're peeling the potatoes in a humble state of mind. And we shouldn't. I mean, we're chanting in a humble state of mind just to get us ready to do everything in a humble state of mind. We're supposed to be doing everything in a humble state. But it's not that you do your rounds. Oh, Hare Krishna, and then okay, that's pronounced. Hey, yeah, what do you think you're doing? Hey, come over there. Hey, it's supposed to be all the time. And the chanting is to kind of get us in the groove so that you stay in a humble state of mind. And if you're not in a humble state of mind, then this chant you can be offensive, you see. You can be offensive to a devotee. And then that will impede your ability to chant. It's the holiness of a person, which is really difficult, isn't it? It's really difficult to understand how a sound vibration is a person. If you can realize that, then your chanting is pure. That's a symptom of chanting Shuddhanam, that you feel affection for and you experience the presence of the person in the sound vibration of his name. If you're feeling affection and you can feel the presence when you're chanting, then your chanting is Shuddhanam. Shuddhanam. If you're sleeping when you're chanting, then it's Namaparad, unfortunately. No matter how nice the dream is that you've gone on, no matter how kind of mystical you make you make it, it's still Namaparad. There's no way around it, folks. You have to get free from sleeping. And if you can sit and chant with full attention, feeling affection and connection, Shuddhanam. If you chant Shuddhanam, then whatever problems you have will just be adventures and opportunities to show your love for Krishna. There won't be any problems. It'll just be one adventure after another. Like if you read Chasing Rhinos, in the 3 volumes, I'd recommend, I've just finished the 3rd volume. The 3rd volume is the best. It's the culmination. But what was the point I was making? Yeah, where the Nama stage is the clearing stage. And then when we get to the stage of Shuddhanam, then we're connected and we're feeling, adventure, that's what it was, yeah. Because in Chasing Rhinos, Prabhupada just goes on one adventure after another. And he's never discouraged or intimidated by anything. He just sees this as an amazing thing. And he just keeps coming out successful all the time. Wherever the maternal energy throws at Prabhupada, he just achieves success, just comes through it all, because he has so much faith. And Shyamachandra is saying that's what we have to learn. That's what the example Prabhupada gave us. And we have to learn how to be like that as well. Chase the rhino. Shoot for the highest thing, and then you'll always get something. If you shoot for the lowest thing, and you miss, then you get nothing. So we should always be aspiring for that highest. And we'll get something really good. But if you think, what's the easiest thing I can do? If I can just chant 4 rounds and follow 2 regs, will that be okay? Well, there's a good chance after all you won't be doing that. You'll just be missing the whole thing. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll read on. In the city of Pratishthanapura long ago, there resided a Brahmin who was poverty-stricken but innocent and not dissatisfied. One day he had a discourse in an assembly of Brahmins concerning how to worship the deity in the temple. In that meeting, he also heard that the deity may be worshipped within the mind. After this incident, the Brahmin, being very Having bathed in the Godavari river, began mentally worshipping the deity. He would wash the temple within his mind, and then in his imagination he would bring water from all the sacred rivers, golden and silver water pots. He collected all kinds of valuable paraphernalia for worship, and he worshipped the deity very gorgeously, beginning from bathing the deity and ending with offering arti. Thus he felt great happiness. After many years had passed in this way, one day within his mind he cooked sweet rice with ghee to worship the deity. He placed the sweet rice on a golden dish and offered it to Lord Krishna. But he felt that the sweet rice was very hot, and therefore he touched it with his finger. Immediately, he felt that his finger had been burned by the hot sweet rice, and thus he began to lament. While the Brahman was in pain, Lord Vishnu and Vaikuntha began smiling, and the goddess of fortune inquired from the Lord why he was smiling. Lord Vishnu then ordered his associates to bring the Brahman to Vaikuntha. Thus the Brahman attained the liberation of Samipya, the facility of living near the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You heard that story before? No? Yeah. Vandanam 6. Although prayers are part of deity worship, they may be considered separately like the other items, such as hearing and chanting, and therefore separate statements are given herewith. The Lord has unlimited transcendental qualities and opulences, and one who feels influenced by the Lord's qualities in various activities offers prayers to the Lord. In this way, he becomes successful. In this connection, the following are some of the offenses to be avoided. A, to offer obeisances on one hand. B, to offer obeisances with one's body covered. C, to show one back to the deity. D, to offer obeisances on the left side of the deity. So we were thinking that's in some temples, you can go right the way around the deity. So you wouldn't pay your obeisances here if we had like a altar where you could walk around. And E, to offer obeisances very near the deity. Interesting.
He's chanting japa in Bhaktivedanta Manan, and Prabhupada veers off into the temple to see what's going on. And there's a guest in there. The guest walks in, and the guest pays their obeisances to Prabhupada with their feet to the deities. So instead, Prabhupada goes chastise the Pujari about it. But then afterwards, he also says that you shouldn't pay your obeisances with your head, pointing to the deities as well, which I found quite interesting. So we should kind of be like diagonal in a way sometimes, especially with the way Aditas are set up. Yeah. Yeah. Just want to share that.
So we have to watch our P's and Q's. What does the P and the Q stand for? Please and... I think it's thank yous, P's and Q's. Please and thank you. You've heard of that before? What's your P's and Q's? You heard that? Yeah. Yeah, you have to watch. Being very attentive to how you're conducting yourself. It's interesting that just before we read this, Nectar Devotion was saying that if you know the science and if you're engaged, then you're okay. You know, that's the main thing. So these are finer details, and to help safeguard us against being complacent or lackadaisical, or not taking it as a science, you know. Because with a science, if you have a science book and it says take potassium sorbate, mix it with citric dioxide, and put potassium benzenate in, it will turn red and give off a purple smoke. So if you do all that and it doesn't, then you immediately know you must have done something wrong. You must have done the wrong quantity of potassium sorbate, or you didn't even have that in the first place. Immediately you know it's wrong, right? You wouldn't be thinking, is this science book actually right? Maybe the science book's out of date because it doesn't seem to be working, you know. So Krishna consciousness, because it's a science, when you mix everything together, it should be that you become effervescent, joyful consciousness. You know, you're so full of joy that you're practically dancing around, just overflowing with bliss. That's if you're doing it right. If you're not doing it right, something's gone wrong, then you'll be feeling miserable and depressed. So it means somewhere along the way you've not applied the science properly. So we're learning how to do that. And you could think, oh well, I won't bother doing all that, but I'll just be really happy, and then that'll be the main thing. And obviously, but if you're doing that's artificial. That's what the sahajas do. They think, oh well, the whole goal is to roll around on the ground in ecstasy and cry, which it is. But I'll skip all the intermediate rules and regulations, and I'll just stop rolling around on the ground and crying without doing all the other things. So that's a sahaja. He's just looking for a cheap, quick, easy way to do stuff. Takes everything really cheap. And that's why we have to watch out. Because in this age, people are lazy. They want quick fixes, quick, easy things. And if it's going to take too long, and it's going to be too much of a problem, then I can't be able to doing it. Did you know if it's worth doing well, it's worth doing badly? If it's worth doing, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. Have you heard that? No, they say if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. But if it's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. Because a lot of the time in Krishna consciousness, we don't do things as well as we know we should. So then we just don't do them. But because it's so important to do it, it's better to do it badly than not do it at all. If it's worth doing, then it's worth doing badly. And at least if you're doing it, even if it is badly, eventually you'll get to the stage where you'll be able to do it well. But don't let the fact that you do it badly stop you from doing it at all. We're trying right now. We're trying to become pure devotees. We're maybe not doing very well. We're loving him quite badly. But if it's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. And then eventually you will be able to do it well. Yeah. Better to do something than nothing at all. Yeah. Make it. Iskon Guru ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. All of you ki. Jai. Go to prayer. Mom.